Today's case is yet another story of a young girl who is failed by everyone in her life. She started life in a loving, nurturing home, but for some reason, that was ripped away from her. From there, all she knew was suffering and abuse, and even when she went missing for over a year, no one noticed. No one raised the alarm. This story is very hard to hear, but it's such an important one to discuss. So with that being said, let's jump right into the details of this case. Jacqueline Torres-Garcia, who went by the nickname Mimi, was born to Carla Garcia and Victor Torres. For most of her life, Jacqueline grew up with her younger sister under the care of her parental grandparents, Patricia and Felix Delgado. But by 2002, Jacqueline's mother, Carla, fought for and won back custody of both of her daughters. From there, Patricia said that all of her rights were revoked. That meant that not only did she not have custody, but if the family didn't want her to see Jacqueline, she wouldn't be able to. As for Jacqueline's father, he did also have partial custody of Jacqueline. He got to see her on the weekends. But Carla also kept her from him. By 2023, Victor took Carla to court, saying that he just wanted to see his daughter on the weekends or any day for that matter. But by June of 2024, his request was denied and Carla was granted full custody of Jacqueline. From there, 11-year-old Jacqueline went on to live with her mother, 29-year-old Carla, her boyfriend, 30-year-old Jonathan Nanita, and their 3 children in a home in New Britain, Connecticut. Now, after custody was awarded to Carla back in 2022, DCS was involved with the family. They did regular check-ins to make sure everyone was safe, healthy, and happy. From what they gathered, it seemed like DCS felt good about Carla and Jonathan's ability to care for the children. She and her siblings were attending school. They were being seen by medical providers, and they appeared well cared for within the home. So by September of 2022, their case was closed and no further action was required. Now, starting in kindergarten all the way through 5th grade, Jacqueline had attended public school in New Britain School District. But by August of 2024, 2 years after moving in with her mother, Carla pulled her out of school, stating that she was planning to homeschool her. It was also around this time that Carla completely cut Jacqueline's parents and her father out of her life. Anytime Patricia would call Carla, she had an excuse for why no one could see Jacqueline. For over an entire year, no one outside the home ever saw or heard from Jacqueline. Not social workers, no medical providers, not her extended family or her father. Nothing was heard about this family until October 8th, 2025. That day, the Farmington Police Department received an anonymous tip saying that they just witnessed something suspicious. They said that they watched as Jonathan picked up a tote from the woods at a cemetery, put it in the back of his car, and then drove to an abandoned home located at 80 Clark Street and put the tote at that property and left it there. Based on what they saw, the tipster believed that there may have been a body in that tote. That same day, officers followed up and started searching around that abandoned home. And before long, they located the tote. Upon opening the tote, they made a horrifying discovery. There was the body of a young girl inside. Right away, the body was sent to the medical examiner for an autopsy, and there it was determined that the body belonged to then 11-year-old little Jacqueline Torres-Garcia. According to the autopsy, the ME found no sign of recent trauma or injuries to her body which could have contributed to her death, though they noted that Jacqueline appeared to be very malnourished. It was a bit difficult to determine the actual cause of death, though, because Jacqueline had been dead for a very long time before her body was found. She had been in a state of decomposition when she was found. Shortly after Jacqueline's body was discovered, all of the adults in the home with Jacqueline were taken in for questioning. That included Carla, her boyfriend Jonathan, as well as Carla's sister, also Jacqueline. For the sake of avoiding confusion, I will now refer to the older Jacqueline as Jackie. So Aunt Jacqueline is Jackie. According to reports, pretty much right away, Carla admitted to police what happened to her young daughter. As she was making her confession, police also seized her, Jonathan's, and Jackie's cell phones. And what I'm about to tell you is based on the confession from Carla, as well as what they found on those phones, and it's very disturbing. Carla admitted that starting in the summer of 2024, Jonathan and her started abusing and neglecting Jacqueline. They said that they would often confine Jacqueline to a corner of a room for hours upon hours at a time if she misbehaved. Then they would withhold food from her anytime she broke the rules. Then there were 2 times within the summer of 2024 when Jacqueline tried running away, trying to escape the abuse and neglect she was facing. But each time, she was found by a family member and brought back to the home. As punishment, Jacqueline would then be restrained in the home with zip ties. From there, restraining Jacqueline with zip ties became a regular form of punishment. She said that most of the abuse towards Jacqueline, though, was at Jonathan's direction. Carla then admitted that she and Jonathan completely stopped feeding Jacqueline for 2 full weeks before her death. No food, no water. She knowingly starved her to death. Then, as I stated, officers also looked at Carla, Jonathan, and Jackie's phones. On Jackie's phone, they actually found a photo of Jacqueline lying on the floor on top of 2 pee pads while being restrained by zip ties. Of course, after finding out this information, they wanted to hear from Jackie to see how much she claimed to know about the abuse. Jackie told police that she lived in the house with Carla and her family on and off between June and August of 2024 before she moved to New Haven. She shared a room with Jacqueline and her younger sister, where she observed prolonged abuse and neglect. She watched as Jacqueline was tied up with zip ties, being confined to a corner of a room and starved. She went as far as saying that when she left the home in August, she, quote, knew Jacqueline was going to die. So this woman just sat by and watched as her own niece was abused and starved to death. Even when she left the home, knowing she would probably die, she did absolutely nothing about it. That might sound horrific and shocking to some, but knowing what she did to her own child, I think it's safe to say Jackie does not shy away from abuse. After leaving Carla's home by December of 2024, Jackie was sentenced to spend 8.5 months in prison after she and her then boyfriend were charged with abusing her own 11-month-old daughter. Back in the summer of 2022, Jackie brought her child to the hospital with complaints of pain in her left leg, and she was having difficulty putting any weight on it. Upon examination, it was found that the 11-month-old had multiple injuries, including bruises and fractures, all in various stages of healing, meaning that they happened over time in different instances. Jackie tried explaining away those injuries to medical staff and in later police interviews. She said that in December of 2021, she was holding her daughter and fell asleep, so she fell out of her arms and must have hit her head. She said that she called the doctor to make sure the daughter would be okay, and the doctor told her not to bring the baby in if she seemed to be acting normally. Of course, though, when police followed up with the child's doctor, no such call had ever been made. A doctor would never tell you not to bring your baby in after they sustained a head injury. That's just ludicrous. She also told police in those interviews that she would often be left alone to care for the baby because her boyfriend worked long hours. She admitted to often feeling depressed and hopeless. Jackie's boyfriend, Jesus, also had interviews with police to explain their daughter's injuries. He said that sometimes him and Jackie would fight over the child. He would hold her very tightly so that Jackie couldn't pry her from his arms, stating that it's possible she sustained some of her injuries during those fights. He gripped her and pulled her so tightly, it may have caused a few broken ribs. He really couldn't explain any of the other injuries, though, so in the end, it was deemed that their stories did not make sense. So both of them were arrested and sent to prison on child abuse charges. Jesus is still in jail, while Jackie was released in August of 2025. Upon her release, she returned back to living with her sister, Carla. While living in the home, she noticed that there was a very strong, foul odor. That is when she discovered the body of her niece, Jacqueline, in the home. At the time, Carla told Jackie that Jacqueline had actually died on September 19th, 2024. You heard that right. 11-year-old Jacqueline died a year before her body was discovered. After being confronted with this information, Carla went on to admit to police that on the day in question, Jonathan found Jacqueline's body and brought her downstairs. Based on what we know up to this point, Jacqueline likely died of starvation. Carla said that Jonathan said he'd take care of Jacqueline's body, so she didn't know what he ended up doing with her. Turns out he put her body in the basement of that home, where she remained for the months that followed. But with her dead, decaying body being in the home for so long, she started to smell. Carla said that the foul smell grew so strong that they had to leave the house and stay with friends or in hotels for some time before they decided to just move houses. When moving, Jonathan put Jacqueline's body in that tote and took her with them. Then, upon Jackie's discovery of the body, that is when Jonathan decided to move her out of the home. First, it seems that he brought her to the cemetery, but he must have changed his mind and instead dumped her at the abandoned home. We still don't know who called it in. My guess is that one of these women, Carla or Jackie, did, or maybe there was a witness at the cemetery who saw this suspicious activity and then followed him to the home and saw him dump her there. We don't really know yet. That has not been released. Along with all of this very disturbing information we just heard, officers also found notes in the Notes app on Carla's phone, which detailed much of what happened to her daughter. Once again, those notes have not been released, but Carla apparently told police that she planned to go on a podcast to share her story before she was arrested. So based on everything we know, we see that Jacqueline lived in a safe, loving home all up until Carla ripped her away from the life she knew and brought Jacqueline to live with her. Things seemed to be going okay until mid-2024 when they decided that Jacqueline no longer deserved to be treated like a human. She no longer deserved to eat and no longer deserved to be treated with any sort of dignity. There still isn't much information out there on why this happened when it did or what led to it. Maybe Jacqueline was rebelling more because she was entering her preteen years. Maybe Carla and Jonathan just grew tired of being parents. Or maybe they were always neglectful and abusive parents and they were just better at covering it up until it just grew out of control with time. To me, I think that seems like a more likely scenario, seeing as how she was taken away from her mother to begin with. Through all of this, as I stated earlier, there was some DCFS involvement with Jackie's life. They weren't necessarily involved with the custody issue, but they did do check-ins with their mother to make sure she was safe. As I stated, their last involvement was in 2022 when it was determined that Carla and Jonathan provided a safe, healthy home. But then, in 2025, a new case was opened in regards to a younger sibling of Jacqueline's. When the DCS worker followed up, Carla was asked about Jacqueline. She said that Jacqueline was doing well, that she was no longer in public school because she was being homeschooled. Of course, the DCS worker wanted to actually see Jacqueline, so they arranged a video call. On that video call, Carla showed a child who she said was Jacqueline. The child even pretended to be Jacqueline, but she wasn't her. It was a younger sister of hers. But because I guess she looked similar enough, the DCS worker felt that things were just fine. By March of 2025, the case was closed. After all of this horrific information came to light, by October 13th, Carla Garcia, Jacqueline Garcia, and Jonathan Anita were all arrested and charged in connection to Jacqueline's death. Carla and Jonathan are charged with murder with special circumstances, conspiracy to commit murder, child cruelty, as well as unlawful restraint. Jackie Garcia is also facing charges including child cruelty and unlawful restraint. Carla and Jonathan were given a $5 million bond, while Jackie got a $1 million bond.
She is 28 years of age, residing in New Britain, has been there for 2 months, lifelong resident state of Connecticut. Not currently employed at this time, was looking for warehouse-style work, does have high school education and a little bit beyond that as well. Some medical issues reported to our office, prior substance use, no mental health issues reported. In regards to cases, she is currently on parole. There is a parole remand lodged. She's on parole out of a case for New Britain, pled out September 11th. So she pled out in New Britain September 11th, 2024, risk of injury to a child, 10 years, after 18 months of served with 5 years probation. The parole remand has been lodged. The max date for that parole is April 19th of 2026. That is her only criminal conviction on this matter. Bond was set at $1 million. Bail would recommend at least that bond remain as set for $1 million. Yes, Your Honor. Ms. Torres-Garcia, she is 29 years old, currently resides in New Britain. She is a lifelong resident of the state of Connecticut. Not currently employed. Some high school education reported to our office. No substance use issues, but some mental health issues have been reported. In regards to cases, no pending matters, Your Honor. Last conviction was April 2019, again out of New Britain, assault in the third degree. She was placed on a 1 year suspended, 2 years probation. No other criminal record found for Ms. Garcia. In regards to this matter, bond was set at $5 million. That bond appears appropriate. I recommend that bond remain as set. So Mr. Nanita is 30 years old. We report he's currently homeless in the New Britain area, has resided in Connecticut his entire life. No means of support. Some high school education reported. Denied any substance use or mental health issues. In regards to the matters, he has a warrant outstanding out of New Britain Police Department. Date of the warrant is October 11th of this year. Destroying or tampering with evidence. The bond on that matter is $750,000. So again, that's still outstanding at the New Britain Police Department. Most recent convictions, December 9th of 2022 out of New Britain, interfering 364 days jail consecutive. Reckless endangerment in the first degree on the same file, again 364 days jail consecutive. He also had a violation of probation. The probation was terminated on that same date. Underlying charge was a burglary in the first degree. He pled out in that 2014 out of GA 15. It was 12 years after 6 years of served, 5 years probation. Again, another violation of probation when the probation was terminated the same date, December 9th of 2022. The underlying charge was burglary in the second degree, 5 years jail concurrent. And a larceny first on that file, which was originally 12 years after 6 years to serve, 5 years probation. In addition, he had another burglary in the second degree conviction in 2015 on this matter. Same thing, the bond was set at $5 million. That appears appropriate. I recommend at least that bond remain as set.
All 3 individuals currently remained in jail and have not yet entered their pleas, at least at the time of this recording. As of right now, that is all we know about this case. It is such a disturbing, heartbreaking case that will never make sense to me. We always see the same theme in all of these child abuse cases. Parents who fought tooth and nail to get custody, only to abuse and neglect them as soon as they have them. Why not just leave them with their other family members? If having a child is so hard that you end up abusing and neglecting them, why not just give them back? Cases like this one will always just leave me so frustrated and confused. Jaclyn didn't deserve any of this. I can't imagine how scared she must have felt being tied up and starved, how much pain she must have been in, questioning why she wasn't allowed to eat, why her mother didn't love her enough to feed her, why her aunt didn't do anything to stop it, questioning why she was taken away from her grandparents who loved her. This and cases like it will never make sense. All we can do at this point is hope that Carla, Jackie, and Jonathan all get the justice they deserve and are forced to face the consequences of their actions. I hope that anyone who works for DCS sees this case as yet another example of what can happen if you aren't careful enough. I know those workers thought they saw Jackie, but if they had questioned Carla about the rest of the kids in that house and asked to see all of them, maybe they would have realized that one of them was missing. I don't understand why they were only concerned with Jaclyn and the younger sister and not the rest of the siblings. I know that the report was only made on the younger sister, but obviously when one child is being abused, there's a good chance that all of them are. I know the excuse is always that they're overworked and underpaid, but come on. We can do better than this. We can do better than just saying they want to see the one child and that's it. At least ask to see all the siblings so that they know that everyone is accounted for. As with any recent case, I will do my best to keep you all updated as more news comes out. But for the next few weeks, I may be delayed with getting new information to you all. With that being said, I do have a little bit of an announcement for you all. I will be going into much more detail after all is said and done, but I will be away from YouTube and other platforms for a few weeks after this episode comes out. I'm having surgery for thoracic outlet syndrome on October 27th, so I'll be spending at least 2 to 3 weeks recovering. For those of you who know what thoracic outlet syndrome is and the surgery for it, you know that it might be kind of intense. I know that it's a pretty long recovery, so I'll be spending as much time as I need to recover. I'm going to come back as soon as I can, but it kind of depends after the surgery how long I'm going to need. That's what my surgeon said, at least, that some people are pretty much good right away and some people spend like 2 or 3 months in a lot of pain. So I've pre-recorded and scheduled videos to come out while I'm gone so that hopefully I'll have something for you the whole time I'm away. But again, there's a huge spectrum in terms of recovery time, so I won't really know what to expect until after the surgery is done. I will try my best to keep chatting with you all in the comments, so if you do happen to hear from me, at least for next week's video, it'll be from my hospital bed or from a couch with a fancy new scar on my shoulder. So wish me luck, and I'll be back with a video explaining everything that happened once I'm on the other side of it, because again, I really still don't know what all to expect. With all of that being said though, that is where I'm going to end today's video. I know this was yet another really rough case, but as soon as I heard about it, I felt the need to talk about it. Cases like this one need to be shared so that we can continue spreading awareness for children like Jacqueline. We need people to keep hearing their stories and facing the harsh reality of what some families do to their own children. Hopefully, the more these cases are shared, the more people stay aware of the signs. If you see something, say something. If something feels off, do not be afraid to report. If a parent is innocent of any wrongdoing, sure, they'll be stressed from being investigated, but first of all, these reports are anonymous, so they won't know it was you. Second of all, I'd say that it's better to stress out an innocent parent than ignore a helpless child who is in danger. So if you suspect anything, please say something. It's better to be safe than sorry. So now that you've all heard what I think, now I want to hear what you all think. Do you think there was even more abuse going on? What do you think of the confessions from Carla and Jackie? Do you think they'll plead guilty or take this to trial? What do you think of Jonathan in all of this? Do you think he's truly the main perpetrator, or were Carla and Jackie more involved than they admit? Let's discuss this and any other thoughts you have in the comments below. If you like this video, please make sure to go ahead and leave this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I put out new true crime and mystery videos every single week. Don't forget to turn the notification bell on so you don't miss out on any of my future videos. Make sure to follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and Spotify. All will be linked down below. And if you have any case suggestions, please make sure to fill out the Google form, which will also be listed down below. With that, hope you guys have an amazing week. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.